Good morning, Scotland. Good morning, social media land. I hope you are well. On May the 6th, 2021, there was a by-election in Hartlepool in the north of England. This was the first by-election since the Parliament was elected in 2019. Hartlepool has always been a Labour hotbed and was part of Labour's kind of red wall. This is the north of England, where it's kind of their heartland. It was the place where they would expect to have the most support. However, on the day, the Conservative candidate Jill Mortimer won the by-election with 51.9% of the vote. This was a swing of almost 16% towards the Tories, and it shows the massive change in the political landscape that is England. The whole of May the 6th was an incredible day for politics, where Labour took back Wales, the SNP up here in Scotland showed that the Scottish people rejected the Tories. However, the Conservative Party see the success of 31 seats in Holyrood as a sign that they're welcome here, but they forget and misunderstand the d'Hondt system, the list system that we use in Scotland. However, the whole aspect of a right-wing swing in England, where a lot of the mayor elections, the local elections delivered a Conservative candidate into power, shows the massive difference between Scotland and England. Their political tectonic plates are shifting and grinding in opposite directions. And that is the subject for Day 2 on the road to independence. Let's look at a little bit of history. The name Geoffrey Archer may be lost on today's generation. He was the former Deputy Party Chairman for the Conservative Party, and he resigned in 1986 after allegations that he had given money to a prostitute. In 1992, another famous name from the Conservative Party, David Mellor, the then Heritage Secretary, initially survived a tabloid scandal when it was revealed that he'd been having an affair with an actress, but he was forced out of office when it emerged that he broke the rules on ministerial conduct by allowing the daughter of a senior PLO figure to pay for a holiday he took in 1980. Another great name in historical Conservative scandals is Neil Hamilton. The former Corporate Affairs Minister's career ended in absolute disgrace for his part in the Cash for Questions affairs of the 1990s. He faced accusations that he'd accepted cash from Harrods owner Mohammed Al Fayed in exchange for asking parliamentary questions. He resigned alongside parliamentary aides Graham Riddoch, David Treninnick, and the junior Northern Ireland Minister Tim Smith, who were all implicated in the scandals in 1984. What is the actual point in me dragging up old Tory scandals? It is vital to learn from the past when we look at the present, with such things as where did the cash initially come from for the furniture at 11 Downing Street, the European Super League. I mean, did you know that Boris Johnson actually bumped into Ed Woodward, the vice chairman of one of the rebel teams in the corridors of Westminster? So Boris said he didn't know much about the European Super League, but how much did Ed actually tell him? You've also got the terrible quote of the pile-up of the bodies in their thousands from Boris, and also the scandal of the vacuum cleaner magnate James Dyson asking for, backhandy sort of high-five taxi, we will fix it sort of things. And then Boris Johnson's brother becoming a director of Dyson as well. We could then go on to the incompetence of Brexit, the way that the Scottish fishing industry has been basically sunk. Meanwhile, they send gunboats to protect the fishing industry of the Jersey Islands. How about all the Conservative cronyism? How about all the money to their buddies during the pandemic to deliver PPE that never arrived? And then the constant berating of Scottish representatives in Parliament, the constant democracy denial from not just the Conservative Party but all the parties that are union based and have their main offices in England. Let me say right now, I am not anti-English. My father is an Englishman. He's lived in Scotland most of his life, but he's an Englishman. He supports England football. He watches English cricket. He still has a bit of a Cockney accent. But I am not anti-English. However, what I am is completely 100% anti-Westminster. They are genuinely unrepresentative of Scottish interests. They just don't care about what's going on up here. They like to say that they do, but where was Boris during this election? The Conservative Party up here say they didn't want them, that it was Douglas Ross's campaign, it was his manifesto, it's his team. But in reality, Boris Johnson is so unpopular in Scotland that they knew that if he came up to press palms and kiss babies, that it would just work against the Tory party in Scotland during the Holyrood elections. What we now have to consider is the massive win of the SNP on May the 6th. They won 64 of the seats. Yes, this is not an outright majority. It missed an outright majority by 1 seat. However, consider this. The SNP won more seats than the Conservative Party, the Labour Party and the Liberal Democrat Party all added together. This, in any democratic circumstances, is considered to be a landslide victory. And this landslide victory is kind of reflected in Wales, where Wales took back a lot of the Conservative seats in their local elections and their assembly elections. And meanwhile, in England, a lot of Labour seats were taken by Conservative representatives. And these are the opposing tectonic plates of politics that cast a shadow right across the whole of these islands. We are no longer a united kingdom. We are no longer wanting the same representation in what is called the devolved nations. England is happy to accept leadership mired in dirt, sleaze, scandal and selfishness. When I discussed the issue of Hartlepool and Labour losing this seat after 57 years with a Conservative colleague of mine at work, their reason that Hartlepool was taken by the Tories was along the lines of this. Just look at the opposition. They've had 10 years to do things better, but they've not done anything better. This astounded me because it was a Labour representative in 10, almost 11 years worth of Tory government. There's only so much that they can do without the power of government backing them. But hey, I said I was convinced by his incredible cerebral argument about this, that I was a converted ex-SNP, now Conservative voter because of this. I was astonished. I was amazed at the gravity of his argument being so positive and so accurate. It was... Oh, that's sarcasm, by the way. I was amazed. I'm absolutely amazed at the pointlessness of his argument. And I made it perfectly clear that, you know what? It's not Labour that's been in government, mate. It's actually been the Conservative Party. And, well, you just have to look at their track record. The Scottish government isn't perfect in any manner or form. We've had our fair share of eyebrow-raising incidents. However, we kind of deal with them differently. We've expelled people from the SNP for various different things. And I think that's the right thing to do. We shouldn't accept scandal or sleaze or dirt or issues where, it puts the integrity of the political leadership, the political party that's supposed to be managing our civilization, at risk. It just doesn't make sense to me. But it's not the political scandals up here that put Scotland at risk more. It's actually the acceptance of the scandals from the leadership down in England. They don't deal with them. They just don't. The political establishment kind of circles the wagons around themselves and says, hey, we'll protect the boys. That's what we're here for. And going forward, this is the leadership that we have. We have our devolved parliament, but the buck does not stop with them. The buck stops at Westminster, and that's really frightening. I mean, let's face it, they isolated Scotland during the whole Brexit process. They did not involve us in any part of the negotiations. What makes you think, for 1 second, that they'll do anything other than this in the future? Now that Scotland has sent yet another message to Westminster, now that we are flexing our political muscles with 64 seats in Holyrood, just for the SNP, more seats than the combined unionist parties. Now their eyebrows raise, their head comes up above the parapet and goes, we better do something about that. And what is it that they intend to actually do? Love bomb us. Love bomb us with billions of pounds spent up here and slap a Union Jack on the side of that project and make us all feel part of that positive union where scandal is accepted, sleaze is accepted, and they give their money to their buddies that just don't deliver. They have their brothers become executives within companies because, that's the payment for giving somebody a little bit of a helping hand with corporate tax. Another one of these projects is to send their senior team up to spend some time in Scotland. We have Michael Gove walking around Glasgow just now, down Sauchiehall Street, being congratulated by proper Scotsmen saying, hey, well done, Govey, on the elections down south, and hey, yeah, do you know something? Well done for getting 31 seats in Holyrood. Do you actually believe that any self-respecting Scotsman is going to go up to Michael Gove on Sauchiehall Street and say, you're the man? It is truly ridiculous to think, to even consider that we can remain part of this union based on the behaviours of the leadership at Westminster. The concept is just utterly ridiculous, and the whole idea of love bombing us and sending Govey up here to spend time to make us feel included in everything, it's a joke. It really is. I mean, this is just the soft side of it all, the soft skills, the fluffy, let's manage Scotland sort of thing going on here. And it only ever happens when they think they're going to lose us, because there's a branch of Scottish people that will take this in and believe it again. And that's really quite worrying as well, because do you know what? Conservatism, the Tories, the Conservative Party, they're not going to change. They've not changed. They just kind of act all charming when they're about to lose something. I don't think that even the easily led part of Scotland that would potentially believe this charm offensive will actually take it in. I think they'll be able to see through it for what it is, which is just a con game, just a sad little adventure to try and make the Scots all, be suppressed again, to keep us in line. But that's not the case anymore. I think we've established that if we were like that, if we were wanting to maintain that status quo with Westminster, we would have voted a completely different way. We would have voted for parties that are selfish and scandalous and mired in that dirt that I've mentioned before, but we've not. We have chosen a party with radically different beliefs, with a radically different direction, doing radically different things. And they don't like it, and they don't like it at all, because Boris doesn't want to be the man that brought the great British Empire. I'm sorry. Boris doesn't want to be the man that has brought Great Britain out of the EU just to have it break up. So get ready for the love bombing, the mass spending, more govies coming up to be high-fived by people in Scotland, because that's what we do, that's what we're about. We love the Tories up here. I mean, it's just a joke. It's a really bad comedy. I think that devolution in Scotland has had an evolution in ideas. The ideas being that we can be better and do it better by ourselves. The last year of the pandemic has demonstrated that clearly with the clear decision-making processes done by Nicola Sturgeon. I mean, she's not perfect, and it certainly wasn't like 110% perfect, okay? But if you were to just compare that to the way that Boris flip-flopped around and allowed more and more people to die and the bodies to pile up, it's a disgrace. It's just an absolute disgrace. Scotland is going to become an independent nation. It's inevitable. Our younger generation voted this way in their droves, and yes, it might not happen in my lifetime, but do you know what? It will happen in my son's lifetime, my daughter's lifetime, and that I can live with. I would much, much, much prefer to be sprinting forward into a referendum with a majority saying yes, and watch the whole process unfold, where we basically cut that red tape and become that wonderful country called Scotland, that beacon of hope and light to the rest of the world, to show them what we can do, what we are made from, and who we are, because we've got a lot to give if we can make those decisions by ourselves. And those decisions will not be made by Westminster. I think that we've established that Scotland politically and England politically are just no longer compatible. The stark differences is going to end up in a clash of ideology, and that's not going to be good for either country. So the decision that Scotland has to make over the next year and a half to 2 years before we actually have another referendum is, do we want a future where all of our governments are created and voted in by ourselves, or do we want to be led down the garden path of disgust, sleaze and selfishness by what is born out of Westminster? This is a choice that only Scotland can make. This is a choice that only you can make. I've firmly made my decision. I want to be independent. But if you're listening to this and you're one of the great undecided, and you are great because you know what is right and you know what is wrong, and you can't just sit on the fence anymore. Things have to change. You have to come down off that fence and choose a side. And it doesn't matter, you're still a Scotsman, I'm still going to love you, alright? I'm not going to throw you under a bus just because you choose no. However, you have to be able to make that decision based on what you see happening and not on nostalgia or the colour of your football team's strips. Westminster and Holyrood are just too different to carry on in the same way that they always have. We need change. Second chances don't come very often in life, and very soon you're going to get yours. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me ramble on today about the differences politically between Scotland and England, the directions that the two countries, the two biggest countries within this union, are actually going in. It is a historic shame that we're not as compatible as we used to be, but do you know what? It doesn't mean that we can't be friends. It doesn't mean that we can't trade and be good partners living, cooperatively on these islands. I hope you enjoyed my words. I hope you didn't take offence to them. That's not what this is about. Remember, I'm not anti-English. I am just anti-Westminster. We are slowly building our team to go live on YouTube, on the Radio Apocalypse channel on YouTube. The link for that you can find in the link tree in the bio of this Instagram account. So please feel free to go and follow us there. There will be live shows running within the next month or so. In the meantime, I'll continue to make these podcasts, and if you want to be part of our community, you'll also find a link to our Facebook group in the link tree as well. And we would welcome anybody that is pro Scottish independence, that's positive about it, that's not going to be toxically tearing strips of each other with regards to different ideologies regarding Scottish independence. We're about independence and the road to independence and how we're going to get there, and giving that positive message to the people that just don't know yet. So I would welcome you in the community. I would welcome comments here. So yeah, happily share this about. Anything that's going to help promote the good message of a free Scotland. Thank you so much for listening. I do appreciate your time, and I wish you a great day. Goodbye and good luck.